I have your attention, please? Thank you. A lot of people have asked about the video. It is on YouTube. It's called the Royce Coleman Memorial. We'll also send it out to the alumni, and we'll have a link. So if you're interested in seeing the video, we'll get it to you, okay? Dr. Coleman's wife, Robin, who's back here, and his sister, Marcia. Where are you? There she is. We want to thank you all for hosting this wonderful celebration and this great party on behalf of Royce. Let's raise a glass to Royce Coleman, a dear friend to all of us. He expected us to do our best, and he always did his best. May you please breathe easy, and may your wings be light. We love you, Royce. We're going to have a few people say a few words, and then we'll have an open mic. If you have a story you want to tell, if you want to just come up and say a few words, you're welcome to do that. I think Maggie Danzel, Megan, I call her Maggie, but Megan's her proper name, is going to come and say a few words. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Ashley. Maggie's good. Maggie. So I'm Maggie Danzel, Dan Danzel's daughter. So that's Bags. I got the nickname Bags because my sister couldn't pronounce Maggie, and she called me Baggy. So Bags works too. I know. So Royce, I was thinking about it, and I can't remember ever meeting Royce and Robin for the first time. It's like they were just always there. So when I think back in my childhood memories, they were just always there. Before he passed, I sent Royce an email. I put in the subject line, "Thank you and wishing you peace." I told him that I wasn't exactly sure what to put in a subject line for an email at the end of someone's life, but that those were the two sentiments that I kept coming back to in my mind when I thought about him. I told him that I wished I had been able to write him an actual card, handwritten, but I understood that there wasn't much time left, so I just asked him to forgive the electronic mail. I thanked him for the wonderful childhood memories. I had recently driven past their former house on Campion in Floyd's Knobs, and I told Ellison and Evia, my 10 and 6-year-olds, I said, that was Royce and Robin's house. I said they had the most beautiful pool I'd ever seen. The blue water, the rocks, the waterfall, it just felt like an oasis. And Royce and Robin always welcomed us with big smiles and lots of love and lots of fun in that pool. I remember Julie and I remember at that house crawling under their blueberry bushes. They were so massive, there was like a tunnel. You could crawl under these bushes and sit inside of them. And I think we were supposed to pick the blueberries and bring them back to Royce and Robin for like the dinner or whatever, but we just sat there and just stuffed our faces. And I don't think we brought back very many, but Royce always told us that we could just eat as many as we wanted. And so we did. When I think about their homes, I always think about how Julia and I always just felt welcomed. We knew that these were people we could trust, that we were loved, and we were welcomed into their homes. We remember their house on Fuzzy's golf course. There was a bar in the basement, and even though I was too young to drink, I could tell, like, oh, this is a cool place. Like, this is a cool vibe. Like, Royce is behind the bar. He's making drinks, having a good laugh. He was showing off his hot sauce collection. It became a mission in our family when we went to trips in various stores to find a hot sauce that was so hot, maybe Royce couldn't handle it. And so we would get really excited that we had finally found it. And we were never successful. He would always just eat it, and he's like, yeah, all right, that's fine. No hot sauce could ever faze him. Now, he was mischievous. He tricked Julia into trying the hot sauces by calling them spicy ketchups. That only worked once. I thanked Royce for the example of lifelong friendship. It was always clear to me what a special and close relationship that Royce and Robin had with my parents. And Royce and Dad as co-workers who became chosen family. I can see that now in a few of my own relationships at work, and I'm grateful for having witnessed it when I grew up. I almost made it. I thanked him for the example of marriage that he and Robin provided. I always had a sense of the love and respect and the smiles and the laughter that were shared between the two of them. It's just in there. So to Royce, that he can breathe easy now and be at peace. So, thank you.
Thanks. That was awesome. I won't top that, I'm sure. But myself, Ashley, and Danzel wrote a tribute to Royce for the GLMS magazine that hopefully will come out in a couple of months. And Ashley thought it'd be a good idea to read it. I don't know if I agree, but here I go. So it's called Royce Coleman, the Yin and Yang of Emergency Medicine. So Royce Coleman, a cherished physician and educator, passed away on April 14th, 2025, with his wife Robin by his side. Renowned for his extraordinary skills and compassion, Dr. Coleman left an enduring legacy in the lives of countless patients, students, colleagues, and community members through his kindness, expertise, and unwavering dedication to healing. He was born on January 7th, 1951 in Bavaria, Germany. His father was a career Air Force serviceman who was a POW, survived the 65-mile death march from Bataan to Camp O'Donnell in April 1942. If you haven't read that, it's kind of crazy. You should kind of look into it. But Royce's stock is no coincidence. Albert Coleman, his dad, instilled in his son Royce an intense sense of compassion. As a twig is bent, so shall it grow. You can tell which parts Danzel wrote. When Dr. Coleman met the love of his life in Texas, his partner and best friend, Robin Vance Coleman, MD, they married. 53 amazing years followed, sharing life's adventures and their careers in emergency medicine. Dr. Coleman's distinguished tenure at the University of Louisville School of Medicine was defined by his remarkable contributions to medical education. As medical director of the emergency department, he was fiercely passionate about the quality of care provided under his watch. Dr. Coleman taught the yin and yang of emergency medicine, shaping the next generation of physicians with his profound knowledge and heartfelt approach. His teaching stretched beyond clinical skills. He instilled in his students the importance of empathy, quick thinking, and patient-centered care under the intense pressures of the ED. One of Royce's favorite teaching aphorisms was that providers must sense for some difficult patients that this could be the worst day of their life. Another was that in the chaos of the ED, patients won't remember what you said, but will remember how you made them feel. Dr. Coleman's mentorship inspired hundreds of young doctors to carry forward his commitment to excellence and humanity in medicine. He served as a beacon of hope for patients, combining his expertise in emergency care with a warmth that made everyone feel valued and understood. Royce's work in the community extended to advocating for better access to emergency services, leaving a lasting impact on Louisville's healthcare landscape. Royce's students, residents, and colleagues called him many things: mentor, teacher, friend, legend, icon, among others. As a resident, you had to be at the top of your game when working a shift with him. He was the emergency physician you wanted to emulate and not disappoint. While at times the Yang feedback was stern, it clearly came with the expectation that patients would receive the exceptional care they deserved. Anyone who was fortunate enough to work with him is a better physician for having done so. To quote a former resident, Dr. Coleman taught me how to stay steady in chaos and lead with compassion. His wisdom, sly humor, ever-present patience, and quiet strength helped shape the physician I became. Another resident evaluation simply stated that he is a living example of the golden rule, and I value that reminder. Even after he retired from clinical medicine, he remained active in mentoring residents, joined chart reviews, practicing oral board cases, and sharing wisdom whenever he could. As someone who got to work with Royce in the office, will never forget the gifts he brought to everyone from his travels. One morning, we walked into the office. We each found a note taped to our workstation. He had led every staff member on a scavenger hunt for their thoughtful vacation treasure. He must have spent all night hiding those little notes. His kindness and generosity were only superseded by his desire to provide the best care possible for his patients. Every decision Royce made, even if it was unpopular, was to improve patient and family care. One of his last emails to a former resident sums up the amazing qualities that Royce possessed and the expectations he had. And he said, "One of the very best things about a career as an educator is the feedback from those remarkably capable brains and souls. Being a learner in any form is a challenge, and much more so when learning in a situation of demanding expectations and general chaos. As a resident many years ago, I clearly remember asking myself, can I actually achieve the results that every patient deserves to have, given my own personal limitations? Somehow we do, and that speaks clearly about the heart and soul of the people we chose and those that choose to become physicians. Long hours, high demand, and certainly lots of high standards require our best efforts. We are in a humbling profession, and I am confident that you will continue to give the best." He sent that to Ross Sizemore. Royce will be sorely missed by his beloved wife, Robin, and his numerous friends and family, both human and four-legged. Dr. Coleman's legacy of compassion, education, and service will live on in the hearts of his students, patients, and all who had the privilege of knowing him. Pulmonary fibrosis might have won in the end, but all of us who were touched by Royce sometime during his 74 years of his full life were the real winners. Robert Louis Stevenson, in his eulogy of a doctor, mused that there are those that stand above the common herd of the soldier, the sailor, the shepherd, and not infrequently the artist, the physician, almost as a rule. He brings air and cheer into the sick room, and often enough, though not so often as desired, brings healing. Royce certainly stood above the common herd and brought way more than his fair share of healing. Breathe easy, Royce. Thanks.
Well, those are quite wonderful. Those are wonderful tributes. Megan, thank you. Adam, thank you. And I hope I can do similar justice. And I hope I can have do a similarly good job in bringing justice and tribute to Royce. I don't know if I can do that. All right. Can you hear me? All right. I'll speak louder. It may help me keep the tears away, as it were. I'm not really good at these things, but Ashley asked me to say a few words about Royce and what he meant to the department, et cetera. And I think most of you know and are obviously touched by the words that Adam gave, but here's my go at it, and I hope it'll be effective. It is an honor to be able to give tribute to one of the finest people I have ever known. He remains with us in so many ways. It is a privilege to share a few memories from the 40 years we knew each other and worked together. Yes, it was more than 40 years that I knew Royce and Robin. And many of you have known them for a similar period of time. Hopefully these reflections will some way help celebrate his life. As I search for the best words to describe the essence of Dr. Coleman, these few come instantly to mind. Calm, courageous, confident, and caring. Together, they epitomize his persona. And for those of us who knew him in his role as physician, educator, and medical director over the past 40 years, we recall more than one time that all those qualities were necessary to navigate the rocky administrative waters of emergency medicine, as well as maintain the well-being of residents, fellow faculty, and the patients we care for in the ED. Indeed, many of the comments from former residents, Adam mentioned those remarks, confirm his lasting impact on their career. I am sure that these heartfelt accolades will be among Royce's greatest achievements. Although Royce retired from U of L, and I use those words in quote, more than 5 years ago, his footprints and handprints remain all over U of L Hospital and beyond. not only the ER, but in the clinics and offices of various clinical departments. One of Royce's first challenges as medical director was to garner cooperation from emergency psychiatry. So all the residents and nurses here know what the challenges are of the psych patients and caring for them in the ED. Well, anyway, he wanted some cooperation from emergency psych and wanted to obviously make it more streamlined and be able to get the patients discharged safely and securely from the ER to the clinic systems or to the Our Lady of Peace Hospital or wherever they needed to go. However, this effort was met with various obstacles, including the denial of any problem by the director of emergency psych, who would thwart or ignore any proposed improvements. Bringing emergency psych on board was not one of a very shining example of a Dr. Coleman win. But Royce's other qualities, including perseverance, would prevail over the other departments, such as cardiology, where he established the chest pain center. His achievement with Left Without Being Seen. We had at one time 15% patients who were triaged in and were leaving before being even seen by the physician or caregiver because there was too long a wait, et cetera. So Royce worked with triage nursing, and he was able to bring it down to 2%, which was a remarkable achievement. His other efforts included trauma quality improvement, where he would build bridges and navigate very troubled waters, because it was always easy for the trauma committee or whatever to sort of say, well, why didn't you do it this way? Why didn't you do it that way? Why didn't this patient get intubated? Why did that one get intubated? And Royce would have to start to explain, well, this is the way we do things in the ER, and it always isn't easy to explain, and nor do we have 20/20 hindsight. That's what he was dealing with. Of course, there were other achievements which included decreasing the lab turnaround time. So I remember they wanted the lab turnaround time was taking 4 hours to get a urine result back, that type of thing. And so he took on that task, and he showed a slide, and I'll never forget it. It had 20 or 30 arrows, with each one having how many minutes or seconds it took for the specimen to get to the lab, for the lab to do the test, and to result the lab. And so it's sort of humorous that really it probably all could be boiled down to that the patient didn't have any urine to give, at least at the front end. Then there was the time where we had the big debate over whether that metal detector, yes, that's. It had a debate. The administrative powers to be would say, that metal detector is a bad look for this ER. And Royce would say, really? Yeah. He said, well, I think we need it. Oh, no, you need to figure out a way to get rid of it. So Royce, in a clever way, got the security to pull out the locker with all the switchblades and box cutters that they had gathered over the last month and put that on a big table in front of the administration. So they finally realized, oh, there's real threats there. After all, we do care for acute psychotic patients as well as drug-addicted patients, as well as patients that are subject to knife and gun trauma. So why would you need a screening device for this kind of patient population? Of course, the metal detector became still a subject of debate, but Dr. Coleman did have some unique perspectives about whether the administrative powers could appreciate the roles that we had in the ER. He said, Sal, they likened the ER to a sewer system. They have to have one, but they don't want to deal with it. Did I mention patience was another of Royce's special virtues? He took many shots and arrows for the team during his years as EM physician and the department's medical director. I was not sure if those battles would be rewarded, but it did culminate in Dr. Coleman being honored as ASEP Medical Director of the Year in 2011. There were probably others that were similarly qualified, but none more deserving or who could appreciate his dedication and work to allow EM to sail smoothly in difficult circumstances. On a more personal note, Roz and I have known Royce and Robin for many years. Robin was among one of the first early EM residents in 1979. They arrived from Texas and remained in Louisville once Robin completed emergency medicine. The Lone Star State's loss would be Louisville's gain. We shared travel trips to ASEP meetings, attended several graduations, and had dinners at our home and away. Royce and Robin had married before Roz and I, as we just learned. It's been 53 years, Robin. Yeah, 53 years, right? So when they and have shared stories of many of their adventures, including vacations, sailing the Caribbean, and their last move to Florida to a wonderful resort community in Naples. Royce loved boats, and I believe his real dream was to captain his own boat or yacht, which he probably did anyway. So when they built their retirement home in Treviso Bay, I had not predicted this was the most likely place for Royce and Robin to land. But for those who have visited the area, you can see that the surrounding marshes, lakes, and trails and nearby amenities offered a relaxed lifestyle with natural beauty and nearby ocean activities. And I've just met or saw again Diane and Tom, who live the next community over, or the next subdivision over, so to speak. They became part of the Treviso Bay family and enjoyed their time there. Roz and I visited them and took month-long vacation there and also appreciated the appeal of this area. We considered purchasing a condo in the same community, but were reluctant to commit to 6 months of living in Florida. Royce and Robin adapted well there, however. Royce's illness would not make life perfect for anyone, even if you thought you had found paradise. In his final months, Royce would always show his appreciation for all that his wonderful wife and friends were doing for him. He would say, "Sal, I'm homebound and cannot be without supplemental oxygen." Robin has been a really great support and does everything possible to keep me comfortable. He had tried novel research medications, which had made him feel even less well and was not stopping the progression of his interstitial fibrosis. Of course, in true Royce fashion, he would never complain and always ask how we were doing and could he do anything for us. As master educator, he continued to offer residents suggestions to improve their documentation and caring for emergencies during Zoom conferences or helping them through their mock orals. Royce had an interesting perspective of first-year residents. He said, "Sal, they are like loaded cannons who need a lot of direction." Yes, even to the end, Royce would give tirelessly of himself to help you become a better doctor, friend, or person. I've known lots of people in my life as an emergency physician, and many are extremely intelligent or innovative, while others have been humorous and good to party with and share travels and work-life experiences. However, there is singularly one person who, other than perhaps your spouse or parent, who could make you feel more important than himself, more confident in the merits of your performance, or more grateful to have been able to share a friendship and career for so long. I'm sure that many of you share with me the same sentiment about Dr. Royce Coleman. May the fruits of his life continue to nourish us until we too rest with him. Thank you, Royce, doctor, friend, and teacher to us all. Give him a hug for me again. Okay, thank you. All right, just to say we're going to have some open mic time. So some people were telling me they had some stories, so now's the time. You know, let's add a little humor to a festive occasion, but obviously a sad one. But thank you all. Thank you for coming. Thank you for honoring Royce. We appreciate it.
I'm Jordan Brown, class of 2013. I don't think I could make it through one of the more serious stories that comes to mind, but I was remembering when Sal was talking about boats. I'm not sure what the current practice is, but when I was there, about 2 to 5, somewhere in there, overnight, it was one of the earned privileges of the attendings to disappear down the back hallway and sleep. Is that what, no? No? When did it end? When did that stop? It stopped, okay. Yeah, I feel like it was, we knew where you were, but you were down a hallway, or it was, okay, so you tell me. I don't recall Royce ever taking that privilege. You were talking about his love of boats, and you were tired and you were working through the middle of the night, but you'd see a pair of Sperry's poking up on a gurney in an empty bed, and he would maybe get 20 minutes of rest. But you'd never had the thought of like, oh, Royce isn't watching, or I could slack off or anything like that. It was, and I actually have adapted the gurney snooze kind of practice. Just 20 minutes can do a lot for you. It kind of recognizes the limitation of what you have to do, but he was not a young man in 2013. I don't know exactly, but he was all gray, and but he didn't have any lack of going after it at that point. Maybe a little bit of nap, but that's all you could count on. He could pop up from that gurney at any point. Yeah.
Adam Whiteside, 2010 to 2013. I was with Jordan. So I do agree with his sleeping in room 9. Usually it was on the center gurney, and he was always ready for the next room 9 to come in, but he wouldn't always be out there on the floor, and he expected everybody else to do what he had taught them to do. So a couple things about Royce. Yeah. Sorry, it's a little emotional. Great doctor. He would steal intubations, and that was one of the biggest complaints. Mark Rugavina, God rest his soul. That was the biggest complaint he'd always have in the meeting the next morning, that he'd missed the first attempt, and Royce would bump him out of the way. And not a whole lot of our attendings would be active in the department, and so they would oversee what you were doing. But Royce, one night we were very busy. We had patients in the hall, and he threw a sheet on over his head and was doing an abscess to give the person privacy. And there just weren't a whole lot of attendings that would do stuff like that. So, he wanted to stay active. He was very present. And he would be checking on you. He was very calm on unstable patients. And he sort of taught me how to always keep yourself between the door and the patient. And he could de-escalate every situation. He always had our backs. One of my favorite memories, this will be the last thing I say, I was fortunate to be in some of the attending meetings and the arguing with Dr. Price and telling him why his angle was never right. was probably my best memory. And that's all I have to say. Thank you all.
I have a story and a half on behalf of my wife is the half. So Robin wrote my letter of recommendation for medical school. Royce wrote my wife's, Judy. And when she was working as a research assistant in the department, they had a significant disagreement about something. And he is the only attending that she, as an aspiring medical student, told to fuck off. And still wrote her letter, which I think speaks to his character. One of my favorite Royce stories was, again, I trained a long time ago. And Royce was across the hall getting a little cat nap about 2 in the morning when I had the opportunity to do my one and only resident thoracotomy. And there were basically in those days kind of 2 rules. You woke the attending up for crikes and thoracotomies. And oops, I forgot. Again, none of my senior faculty would be surprised by this, but oops, I forgot. And to everyone's surprise, the patient actually went to the OR. But then after it was over with, I went, yeah, he probably shouldn't find out in the morning. So I walked across the hall and knocked on the door and woke him up. And I think this speaks a lot to his character about how it was, because I said, hey, Royce, I just cracked the chest and forgot to tell you. He said, okay, how'd it go? I said, he's in the OR. He says, okay, good job. He says, you okay? Yeah, night. And that was the end of that. But it was in his own way, a vote of confidence, and also that he cared about how I was, in addition to caring about the patient. And I think that speaks to all that Royce is and was.
I wasn't going to say a story. I was going to thank people. So please, if there's more stories, we'd love to hear them.
Quick anecdote. I am Dennis McLean and did not know Royce very well. But Robin and I were in the same residency class back in 1981. And I knew I was in the right place when I went for my interview. And the first question was, do you know how to play volleyball? And I was like, yeah, I think I do. But so Robin and Royce, I didn't know Royce very well because he came along after we were in our residency. And but one night, Robin and Royce invited us and our family over for dinner. And while we were sitting out by the pool, having drinks and enjoying ourselves, our 6 or 7-year-old son was down in their basement destroying Royce's hand-built airplanes. So we were mortified, my wife and I were, but Royce was typically very graceful. No problem, I'll rebuild them. It's not an issue, whatever. Years later, my son applied for residency at U of L, and I was like, my first thought was, is Royce going to have a voice in this? But he got in, and thank you, Royce. And I know he was a great mentor to Scott, so thank you.
But you should know that Royce would have said to Scott, that's okay, I would have crashed them anyway.
And I figure most of you guys don't know me, but I'm Jeremy Thomas. I had the unenviable task of following Dr. Danzel as the chair of the Department of Emergency Medicine at U of L. I only had a few years to know Royce, but I wanted to emphasize his passion for continuing to pour into people. until his last days. Royce was an incredible mentor and inspiration for me in the last 5 years. I cannot tell you how much that man has meant to me in that time. He had no reason to pour into me after spending 30 years working under Dr. Danzel. From the beginning, he was probably my biggest supporter and my biggest encouragement in this role. We created the master educator role, and Royce embraced it with the opportunity to pour into medical students and our interns on clinical shifts even after he finished practicing clinically. I didn't get a chance to work with him clinically. And then when he was not able to travel to Louisville anymore, he kept looking for ways to pour into our department. He reviewed every sepsis case that we had for the last several years. He voluntarily did chart reviews for our residents and would pick randomly 2 residents each month and would pick 3 to 4 cases of theirs to go back and review in detail, pull out medical literature to send to them to read on the specific cases, and then would give him his thoughts on their differential diagnosis, on the care that they gave, and it was incredible. And you can ask the other faculty that are here. I hoped each month that I would be one of the faculty on those cases so I could get to read Royce's thoughts on the care that was given, the decisions that were made, and the other things that we could have or should have considered in those cases. He was pouring into people with every bit of energy that he had as long as he possibly could. And he stayed engaged in faculty meetings, in administrative meetings with us, with his administrative background. And the last few text messages that I have from Royce, one is about considering time for a soft opening for our observation unit, as he sat in on the observation meeting, and we started a soft opening about 4 months before the unit's going to take off. And the last one was, Jeremy, strong answer to a difficult question, Royce. And I have no idea what the question was, but it was sitting in faculty meeting, and he's on Zoom, and he didn't want to interrupt the meeting, but sending words of encouragement. I only knew him for 5 years, but I will tell you, I don't think anyone in 5 years has poured more into me than that man. I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity to get to know him.
I was going to. You going to say a few things?
I'll just say one more thing, attesting to like the funny stuff as far as Royce not really sleeping, but Hugh had told me this before, and so I won't take credit for it, but it was one of the other faculty who, as a resident, had told Hugh, he said, hey, listen, I'm going to go lay down in the back, but before Royce gets here, make sure you wake me up so that he doesn't see that I have been sleeping. So I know Jordan talked about the faculty going to sleep, but there was at least one of us who did not want Royce to know that he was sleeping in the back anyways, but I won't name that person. I don't think most of the faculty sleep anymore. If not, they don't tell anyone.
Well, I would like to start by saying thank you all so very, very, very much by coming. And also thank you for giving Royce a life filled with meaning and purpose and joy. And he included every single one of you in that feeling of accomplishment in his life through your work together. It was so remarkable that he did enjoy a wonderful group of people to work with. And I want to thank all of you for coming. Dr. Danzel, thank you for being his mentor and his guide and his light through all of the years that you all have worked together. It meant the world to him. Also, recently, I came across, well, let me just say, many beautiful letters were sent to Royce because Adam had put out a statement that that Royce was having his failing health, and that if you wanted to tell Royce something, now might be a very good time to do it. And we received so many beautiful letters and emails, and we sat together tearfully and read those through many evenings, and they sustained him and were so important to him. So thank you for all of those. And it's left no room in this heart for grief because of the love that you shared with him about him. It was a wonderful thing. One of those letters had a real interesting comeback to me. On the slideshow, there is a picture of Royce presiding over a critical case. I'm given to understand that he would sit in his white coat with his hands folded, with a fairly serious look on his face, and hold court while he observed what was going on in this case. Well, Meg Pusateri posted that picture on EM Docs, and I responded to her saying, "Thank you so much. I'd never seen this picture. I love it. It is so funny." And I said, "That picture deserves a caption, and that caption should be, 'Do not make me have to get up.'" and so another resident, former resident, sent in a lovely email discussing a particular wonderful a wonderful memory about Royce, and he's in witness protection now, so I won't be able to say his name, but he thought that Royce would enjoy this story, and that story is, "I never do an intubation where I don't think of you." And then he went on to explain that when he started intubating, as we all did, he was very tentative and didn't feel like that he would be able to learn how to do it. He finally mastered it, as we all do, and then he became very cocky, he reported. And he said one night in that situation where Royce was presiding over a critical case, he had intubated a patient but had not tied the tube down. Well, apparently Royce stood up, the room froze, everything stopped cold at that moment, and Royce got up and said, if you keep forgetting to tie in these tubes, I'm going to pluck them out myself." And that was so Royce that I really enjoyed hearing that story. And again, thank you so much. So much appreciation.
Royce would be thrilled. He would be thrilled with tonight. I know he would be thrilled with all the love and the stories and the people here to celebrate him, and all the people that wanted to come that sent messages saying that they couldn't be here, but how much he meant to them. So thank you all for your time, for your love, and for being here. Please, we have a lot of food back there. Please take some food home. Please take some food to the hospital. Please don't leave empty-handed. But thank you all for enjoying this night with us and celebrating Royce. Bye.
Ready?
We're going.
Ready? Catch, Bear. Good catch. Come on, Bear.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I never knew. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. High above the chimney top, that's where find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. And the dreams that you dare to, why, oh, why can't I?